You know, I've just been thinking for a long time, more and more focused now. I mean, I see it in my dreams. I think about this sort of thing almost every day about just wanting to have that American dream people talk about. I don't know if some people even realize what that is. To me, the American dream, just the dream is to have a home, to have a wife, someone that loves you, have a family, to not be trapped in debt forever. And, you know, everything is so not everything, most things are so ridiculously overpriced now. But I'll figure out how to do this on my own if I have to, but I'll tell you everything. I can see very much how different it is. Cause I guess I've been alone for quite a while. Haven't had a steady girlfriend since like 2012 or something. I guess I just kind of quit trying. Sort of gave up. I wasn't doing the things to try to improve my life. I didn't know anything about how crazy the cost of living is, or about a credit score, or keeping down, the job history and rental history and all this other sort of stuff. I didn't know anything about all that kind of stuff, and I'm learning. And I didn't feel like women's, you know, saw me as anything more than a piece of meat, basically, when I was younger. And or I'd end up with women that were just totally, you know, crazy, basically. Or just, But now, I really think I could find a place somewhere at some point before too ridiculously long. Especially if I had someone else with me that was on my side that, you know, I can't believe the type of guys I see that see lots of guys have a steady woman that stands by their side and has got their back, and guys that are, I mean, you would think would never be able to get a woman in a million years. I can't pretend to be perfect or that I'm not a screw up. I'm not perfect, and I suppose I am kind of a screw up, but that doesn't seem to matter. From what I can see, there's guys, lots of guys, millions of guys out there that are bigger screw ups than me that have a wife and kids or whatever. And I just never really tried to, put my mind to doing things, and now I've been working, I've been making money, I've been building a credit score, I've been trying to do the right things, and I've been dreaming big and thinking about, you know, there may be places here, where I could get a mortgage and get some kind of a fixer-upper home somewhere. Of course, I'd have to travel across the country to the south somewhere to find something affordable. It seems to me that most people don't think about this stuff or don't see it, and a lot of people seem just content to be renters for eternity, basically, just to pay and pay and pay and pay to never own anything. And the people that do want to own things, a lot of them, the ones that making big money, they try to buy a house, but they get something that's so ridiculously overpriced, and they're just getting totally screwed, and they'll never pay it off. Even if they're making six figures, even if, two people work together are both making six figures a year, trying to pay off a place as expensive as most of these places are now would be really, you're just really getting screwed there. I see mobile homes that, sold for $3,000, $4,000 in the 90s, getting sold for like $250,000 now. I see houses that people bought for $15,000, $20,000 in the 80s or early 90s that are now selling for $5, $6, $7, $800,000 or something. It's insane. But it's not like that everywhere entirely. It mostly is, but it's not entirely everywhere. I don't want to be alone, and that's a real big thing. I find it difficult to stay motivated to do the things that I need to do to straighten my life out and better myself. When I've just been alone for so damn long, and I seem to be surrounded by nothing but negativity, nothing but darkness and negativity, and just for the most part, yeah. It feels so different now. I feel sometimes I start to feel like I'm in hell or something now because my grandparents are gone. The aunts and uncles in my family that actually were loving and cared about me are gone. My mom's gone. And I feel like for the most part, all I have left in my life is just really negative people. I find myself getting down on things, and I guess you could say I'm a negative person just for being observant or whatever. But oh, there's the corn dogs. Hope I didn't overcook them. Well, I don't know. I think of the American dream. I think of, people that used to be a thing. That was the real deal. And nowadays there's people who just made a buttload of money, or else they already got it in the past when it was still available. You know, for the most part, it's pretty much gone. But there may be some little areas, little pockets where you could find something and build something. And I'm learning about all this stuff. Learn about how to build a credit score from 0 to 650 real fast and upward trajectory there. I got like, I don't know, 7 months or more of employment. Depending on what you could count, I got like a couple of years of rental history. It's I'm getting into a position where like I may be not too far off from being able to do something, but everything's more of a pain in the ass to do by yourself. I'll tell you one thing, and it's not just because two pairs of hands make half the work or whatever. That's part of it, but it's also just feeling a lack of motivation and a deep sadness of being alone, feeling like nobody cares about you. I just want to have a home, grow a garden. And I'd rather not have to work some soul-sucking job for the rest of my life or whatever. But I mean, I'd do something like that if I had to, if that's what it took to have a home and have a family. But I know there's better ways. I mean, a lot of people are taking advantage of these, just getting to know things and people and finding other ways to make money. Maybe with real estate, flipping real estate, or using credit and equity in property to be able to get more, get rental properties going or whatever. Like I've got ideas. I don't know. I wasn't built for this so much for this city shit. I grew up in the country, and when I was younger, the town I'm living in now, pretty damn small town. I mean, the traffic during, like, on work days in the middle of the day, at times when 15, 20 years ago, you drive down the street, there would be nobody out there except for you and a couple other people. Nowadays, the traffic's heavier than it was during you could take they could be letting out the drive-in and having a carnival and multiple concerts in town and a championship football game or something going on all at the same time, and there wouldn't be that much traffic blocking the roads and the parking lots everywhere. It's insane. They priced all the homes, so high, even mobile homes so high that it's ridiculous. They jack up the lot fees on everything so high that it's ridiculous. They jack up the cost of rent everywhere. It's so high it's ridiculous. So nobody's going to own anything. But I'm going to find a way. And I'm going to make it. And if I have to do it alone, I'll do it alone, I guess. I don't know. I see the way most people are living, and I think most people are doing things wrong. Now, the older generations could get away with doing things the way they did it because it was a different time. And things are more affordable. And the system was kind of on their side. And now it's not. It's not. The system is not for us anymore. The state and the counties and the cities and the housing industry and so on and so forth is not here for us anymore. It's just an investment tool that super wealthy bankers and globalists use to fill their pockets. But we could get to a point where you got a home, you got some land, you could do something with that, Not have to be a slave forever, not have to keep paying rent for fucking ever, There's always going to be some kind of bills, probably, but it seems to me that we're on a sinking ship, We're living in a world where people have been basically just enslaved. people that actually already do own land and have things paid off are going to be in a better position by far. People that already like own their home and stuff, or I mean, it was still more possible to do things not even that long ago. I mean, you go back even just 4 or 5 years ago, and the housing was half what it is now, pretty much. Go back 10, 15 years, and it was a quarter or a third what it is now. Go back freaking, 20 years, it was a tenth of what it is now. Go back 25 or 30 years, and it was, what, 1/20th or 1/100th what it is now. I mean, there's literally houses that people bought in the 80s and early 90s for like $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. That if they're up for sale today, you'd see them listed for 600,000, 700,000. That's the artificial inflation that's been caused, and but I mean, I've been researching this sort of stuff for quite some time, and I think I'm starting to get my head around things, starting to understand things a little better, and finding some things here and there. So I think it might be possible to get something, just not around here, not in this part of the country. This is I mean, this whole side of the country, this whole part of the country, a lot of the country, I see is basically like, I mean, this is like the Titanic, and it's hit the iceberg. So, like, the front end of the Titanic is sinking into the ocean, and the rear end is getting propped up, or whatever. I don't know how to. All the stuff that's all the areas that have been taken over by that are heavily populated and taken over by corporations, and where the wealthy people have invested and so on, are going in the toilet. Like, no doubt, it's going to be impossible to live there, because the economy nowadays it's fake, it's rigged, it's propped up, it's bullshit. It's the same as like the political structure and government. It's all, what's the term? Potemkin village. It's a Potemkin village. That's what it is. Like the internet is nowadays. I have to look that one up. I don't know if I remember the story correctly. I probably don't, but basically I guess some guy named Potemkin or something. Yeah, I'm going to get the story wrong, but it'll be close enough, okay? Some guy named Potemkin or whatever, he's ruled over this land that was, I guess, well, you know what? I don't remember the story just right, so I'll just give you an example of what a Potemkin village is, right? It's where well, you know how when the Chinese visited the United States or whatever, the emperor he visited some city that was completely, I mean, the whole area that he visited before he showed up there, the whole area was like covered in garbage and homeless encampments and drug needles and human feces on the sidewalk and everything, and broken windows and so on. And then what? But the emperor or whatever is coming to visit, right? So they clean up the streets real fast in that area where he's visiting, and they make the shops windows, fix up all the shop windows. They make everything look nice, so that when he walks by, everything looks nice, Or it's like a Hollywood movie set. A Potemkin village would be like, say, a Hollywood movie set, right? Like, nobody really lives there, but you take people through there and say, "Oh, look at all this wealth we have. Look at our, how great our town is doing." They take garbage. It's like polishing a turd. Basically, it's like taking something that's destroyed and making it look good. I guess the story was some guy, some ruler of a land, was being visited by a queen of some other land, and he wanted to impress her, so he took her on this. He had his people build all the front facing ends of a building that were just like a Hollywood movie set. It was just like the front of buildings, fake buildings, and they propped them up, had new paint and made it look all nice, so it looked like towns all along the riverbanks. And he took her on a riverboat cruise to have her look out from the boat and see all these what looked like all these thriving towns and villages and stuff. But it was all just an illusion that it was built. That's a Potemkin village. I mean, I'd rather not have to sell my soul and not have to, you know, bust my ass for the rest of my life just to have basic necessities of life and to be able to have a home and a family. Or even just a home if a family is dreaming too big. The guy I know, he says, this guy's living in his car. He's going to try and find some property himself now. He's got a decent credit score. He's living in the back of his car, just traveling across the country. He talks about how, tells me I'm stupid for paying rent, you know. So he paid rent, worked a regular job for so long, and he's talking about how, I said, you and say harsh things, but I realize, like, a lot of the stuff he's saying, as harsh as it sounds, is basically true. You're paying for an apartment, you keep paying rent, and you're never gonna own that. You're paying for not your box, he says. He says, dude, you're homeless. You don't own that, right? It's hard to hear, but goddamn it, he's right. A lot of people working, busting their ass to pay for some apartment, some place that no matter how many years they pay the rent there, no matter how many bills they fucking pay, they're never gonna own anything. You know? It's a danger of not owning land and not owning, the structure and the land. If you own the structure, you don't own the land, some rich person can just come along and buy the land and tell you have to move your trailer or your home or whatever. And if you can't afford to, then they'll just steal your trailer or your home by buying the land out from under you. Actually, there's this movie, what was it called? Movie about Ray Kroc and how he took over McDonald's. It's about how this guy basically talked to somebody who knew about real estate and said, "You're in the land business." And he just got it, he started buying, using the equity that he had in the business to buy up the land underneath the buildings so that he had control over the company. And he bought McDonald's, he bought the whole chain of restaurants for basically pennies on the dollar from the original owners. Like, that's what's happened all over the country, stuff like that now. But if we could do something where we get something, or if I could do something, have something that's actually mine, right? That's what I want to find a way to do. I don't know, dreaming too big, or I hope it's not too late, and I hope I can find a way to do it. I have to get something that needs repairs, or I could get something that's not too tore up, something I could live in while I fix it up over time and pay off over years or whatever. I mean, you look at this country like 100 years ago, or even 50 years ago, like this whole apartment thing and rental properties and stuff like that was almost non-existent. I mean, I guess it was existent 50 years ago, but I mean, you look back like 100 years ago, you could buy, everybody had a house and a front yard and a backyard and sat out on their porch of their house, and people had, homes in town, and they had farms and so on and so forth. Now everybody's just paying forever to live somewhere they never own. While the people who own land and own homes are just sitting back, letting the renters pay all their bills, and they just sit back and collect their money and live in their house. And I mean, take an apartment complex, for instance, right? So they have a modern, I don't know, how many rooms do you think? Let's say you have a apartment complex with 200 rooms, and you're charging the tenants $1,000 a month in rent. So that's $200,000 a month they're making. They probably could spend, I don't know, nowadays, depending on where you're at, probably spend like $1 million or something. They probably get a loan from the bank. They already own something, so they got equity there and some big credit score. They're able to take out a business loan to get the land and the zoning, materials, and things like that. They take out a loan for $1 million or a couple $1 million to have that built for them by some construction company. They move people in there, and then the people are paying for the whole thing within a year or year and a half. It's all paid off by the tenants, and the person that came up with the idea that got the bank to loan them money just sits back and collects more money forever, basically. And they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month for basically doing next to nothing. Mm-hmm. They don't want you pointing this shit out. That's the way it is, though. Nope, corn dogs are just right. A little cold now, though. So, yeah, I don't know. I gotta tell you, I'm jealous. I'm jealous of men that have some loving, supportive woman or people in general in their life. People that are actually supportive, caring, that are I don't know, rooting for them, believe people that have people that believe in you, to have people that are on your side, that care about you, people that miss you when you're gone, and that are happy to see you when you get home. I'd give just about anything for that. Even if I had to live under a tarp sleep on a piece of cardboard in the dirt. But I'd settle for a home. And you could see a grown-up version of Home Alone. I'm gonna sit in my house and jump up and down on the bed and shoot BB guns at stuff or whatever. Sounds like a plan. Oh, damn it, I'm gonna find a way. I mean, I don't know about you, but I definitely feel so. I mean, anybody renting or paying some gigantic fucking price for over a mortgage, I mean, I'll never understand people buying new cars and stuff like that. I mean, even if I won the lottery, like if I won the lottery and I had $500 million in the bank, there's no fucking way that I would buy a new car. Like, no way. Not with a perfect credit score and $1 billion in the bank, I wouldn't buy a new car. Because they're just overpriced and not to mention shitty, like for the most part. You know? And to some extent, you could say the same about new homes. Honestly, unless you have it custom designed or something. Unless you like custom design some freaking modernized version of a Sears kit home or something, or decide you're gonna have a construction company build you a castle. I don't understand that people fucking spending $500,000 or more for some fucking box next to a bunch of identical boxes in some cul-de-sac where you live fucking 3 feet away from your neighbor and shit. Like, fuck that. Gotta ask permission to put a fucking shed in your yard or something, and get fined for not cutting the grass often enough, or having the wrong color drapes or mailbox or something. You're not allowed to have a garden in your yard. You're using too much water. You're not allowed to wash your car. Right? Yeah, screw that. Barbecues are not allowed here. Yeah, why I don't know why anyone would want to live like that. Like, you're gonna pay fucking $500,000 or $1 million to live like that. You work your whole fucking life or whatever just to like pay for some crap like that. It's just, ugh. I mean, I guess it beats an apartment, but maybe. But yeah, I don't know, man. We're on a sinking ship. And the fucking time to head for a lifeboat, you know? Hmm. Well, I'm working on figuring it out. I've made some real progress over the last 6 months or so. Not that I haven't slipped up here and there, but I think all in all, I'm making decent progress. Could always be better, but seems to me the world we live in now is set up for people to fail, set up for people to just work like slaves for the rest of their lives and never have anything to call their own or to pass on to a family, you know. Hmm. What the hell? I'm sorry, just this scene, some Western movie on TV that's muted. They kept zooming in on this chick's rack. What, it stopped me talking. Now it's still recording. Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know. I just I hope I can do it. I believe I can do it. One way or another, I want to figure it out. But life is freaking lonely and depressing a lot of the time. This is not a good, healthy place for me to live. And I mean, I can understand why that. I mean, to me, it's understandable why I have had somewhat of a drinking problem here and there, and why other people have drug problems and so on. Because life in a lot of places is just so freaking unnatural. I mean, I don't know how people don't just lose their freaking minds living like this, but I guess it helps if you have. It helps to have some freaking teamwork, you know? It helps to have family and true friendship and so on, wherever that's a thing. To have people that are rooting for you to succeed that aren't, instead of rooting for you to fail, you know? I mean, I guess in some ways it's probably the same all over, but I really think there's areas of this country that are still probably decent areas, places where it may be possible to go for some form of whatever's left of the American dream. You ever see that show years ago, Tales from the Dark Side, that intro? I've been saying I feel like a lot of the time like I'm in the dark side or whatever, you know? But it's like I don't know, maybe I should put a clip of the intro in here. I'd probably get hit with a copyright thing or something if I did that. I don't The dark side. Or it's just like I feel like I've just been living in this like the dark side or whatever. Where it's like I'm just surrounded by darkness, surrounded by, you know, I don't know, just wickedness out to destroy me and out to screw everyone's lives up. And, the people that are decent and living here are just fucking too miserable and say to themselves that everybody's hiding from everybody because there's so much darkness and so much wickedness and so many untrustworthy people around, and that you just can't trust anybody. And everybody's out for themselves and looking to do you in at the same time. Freaking doggy dog out there. Hmm. I don't know. I'd like to find a way out of this screwed up system, to be honest. Or a way to maximize the outcome, minimize the effort necessary, or the length of effort necessary. Anyways, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to have to go do shop and delivers or deliver mail or whatever the hell, or have to be shoveling horse shit in my 70s or something to pay off some $500,000 freaking shithole or whatever. But I mean, the truth of the matter is, people talk about there needs to be a higher minimum wage and so on and so forth, and I guess that would be nice. But I mean, the truth of the matter is that the way the wage is not so much the problem as the inflation is the problem. The monetary system is the problem. The way that the market uses equity, uses housing as a financial tool instead of a place for people to live is the problem. That's why there's so many fucking people homeless. A lot of them have jobs. Can't find my way home. Anybody else ever feel that way? Like you just want to go home, but you don't have anywhere that feels like home to go home to. You just want to be there with somebody who loves you and hold their hand or put your arm around them, but there's nobody there that fits that. Nobody there that fits that description, you know. Or you want to call up somebody on the phone and talk to someone who's going to be, you know, supportive and caring and so on, whatever. But that's sparse and difficult to come by, non-existent. So you just call up the only people you got left, and all they ever do is bring you down. I mean, if you cut loose the people that bring you down, you got nobody left. That's sort of the situation I find myself in. Cut loose the people that bring me down, and so I find myself alone. Because that's all I ever fucking had, pretty much. Well, all that's still alive that I ever had, for the most part. People that discourage. And that, you know, I don't know. At this point in my life, it's like I forget what it's like, or I basically forget what it's like, or wonder what it would be like, you know. Imagine what it must feel like to have somebody that roots for you to succeed, that's happy when something good happens to you, happy for you, instead of trying to look for a reason to make you feel bad about it, you know. I don't know. I just want a place to live, and it'd be nice if I could ever find love in my life, you know. And I realize there's danger in it. That it's hard to find somebody trustworthy or somebody that actually cares and isn't just trying to use you. And if I had kids, I'd be terrified living in the world the way it is today. But with or without kids, now's the time to, you know, fortify, to build something, to have a place to hold up and stock up and prepare for times coming that, I mean, things are getting bad, and I don't see much likelihood of them getting a whole lot better as far as on the bigger picture goes. But I just want to be able to live my life. I mean, heck, my dad, probably a lot of our parents, depending on what age, I mean, I'm 40 years old. I actually grew up in a time where if I had got my, basically if I'd got my shit together in my younger days, I could already be. If I didn't have anyone around to really teach me about things, like nobody ever taught me about, rental history or about credit score or how to do a resume or a job application properly or how to get in, uh, whatever kind of proper education or whatever, how to connect with people, how to nobody taught me like social skills. Nobody taught me any of this shit. My parents were just shut-ins that worked 9 to 5s and got home and screamed at each other. Well, they weren't screaming at me. My dad bought his first home when he was a teenager. I think for like five. I think he bought. Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but I think he said he bought a house for like $5,000 when he was like a teenager. So it must be like the late '60s or early '70s. And the house I grew up in, 2-story house, barn on like almost 3 acres of land. I think and there was a mobile home out front too that he used as a rental property. He bought that for like $25,000. Got some, mortgage or something and just made payments on a mortgage to pay it off. He bought that when he was, I don't know, early 30s. Drove my mom and sister and a busload of stuff from Michigan or something. All the way to Oregon. They rented some house in town for a little while and then found that place. But back then you could rent a house in town around here for $50 a month, $100 a month. He bought the place for about $20,000 or something. Nowadays it'd be worth over $500,000, and it's fucking trashed compared to what it was when he bought it. Especially compared to what it was when he sold it, because he fixed it up quite a bit. But I've seen it since then. It looks like it's just been trashed since then. But it'd still be like over $500,000 for that place now. I mean, realistically, a home is something that if a home was taken as a home, it would be seen as something that would depreciate in value over time. If it without constant, maintenance and improvements, it would be something that would depreciate in value, not appreciate in value. See places that have aged 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years or something that, falling apart and wood rot and all sorts of problems, and they're selling for freaking, $250,000, $500,000 and stuff that it's just ridiculous. They're driving prices up through the roof. They're trying to make it impossible for people to live. Well, I have some ideas, and I don't know. I guess maybe my problem is social skills when it comes to women. Or it's just maybe that I'm think differently than others. I've had different experiences. But I do find it pretty hard to understand why it is that there's so many women out there that in long-term relationships, marriages, or dating guys that are doped out on every drug known to man just because the guy has a job or something, working as a mechanic or whatever the fuck. They love them and they're with them, and I mean, it's just. Hell, women couldn't stop throwing themselves at me when I was in my teens and 20s. I guess I tried more. It was easier to talk to women back then. I guess now they look at me and they think I'm damaged goods or something, The truth of the matter is, I'm better now than I was then. Oh, I was loaded with potential back then, surely, and if I could go back in time and jump into my younger body, start out knowing what I know now, well, yeah, there'd be an improvement, but hell, I suppose I'm far from perfect, but I know there's plenty of guys out there married with kids, and plenty of guys out there that long-term steady girlfriends, been with them for years, that are way more fucked up than I am. you know. Though I don't suppose they're quite as honest about how fucked up they are. Or about their real intentions. That's one of my problems now is honesty. Too freaking honest. Oh well. All right, now I'm just kind of trying to learn how to live, and I'm got a good start probably. I mean, now there's plenty of people that younger and my age and older. I know there's people that are ahead of me that are a lot younger than me too, probably. But really, I just started learning things the last couple of years more. Some of this stuff. Nobody ever taught me about the things that. That's the thing. They never teach you anything about what you really need to know to live in this world now. Everybody's like doing things the wrong way, and the only thing that it's like our families, like, I don't know. It's like birds or something, how the birds just kick the freaking baby bird out of the nest or something. It's got to learn how to fly on its own. Except we don't live in a natural world. Yeah. The world makes so little sense now. There's so many complexities that you have to figure out that didn't even exist when they were younger, when our parents were younger, and all the stuff that's there for them isn't there for us now, you know. If I'd started earlier, if I'd learned this stuff that I know now when I was in my early 20s or in my teens or something, yeah, I'd be in a very, very different position. But I was too busy fucking off and getting high and chasing girls. Women. And then I started learning about all these like dark things going on in the world and became very, very pessimistic and nihilistic or whatever, you know. I don't know. I came to a realization actually at an early age that the way that my parents did things and the way that most people did things just isn't going to work anymore. It's kind of like this. Basically, my teenage years, around the time I was 16, got my heart broke. I started, met up with a bad crowd, started smoking pot, popping pills, getting high. And basically just fucked off about the next damn 10 years of my life or something doing that shit and chasing women and so on. And then I quit the weed and the pills and started thinking about doing things where I looked around and the things I'd learned and things I'd already figured out. I came to see that, the way things used to work isn't the way things work anymore. But I hadn't figured out how exactly. I just knew that doing this thing or that thing wasn't going to work. Like, that going to, stock groceries in a store wasn't going to get me a house. Going to, I mean, I don't know. Going to ask if you like more fries, like fries with that or whatever, wasn't going to get me ahead. It was just going to leave me stuck, and I'd have a little bit of spending money, but I'd never get anywhere, kind of thing, And I realized that it took a lot more research into a lot of areas to try and get to the point where now I think I have some hope, maybe, that there might be a way to do it. And that gives me more ambition to try. But it doesn't help being alone. Feeling like I've been abandoned. Feeling like I got cheated out of my rib, if you know what I mean. Well, alright then. Guess that's enough ranting.